All right, just a heads up that we will call the meeting to order in about 1 minute. 1 minute, so grab some water, get some snacks. Those are remote, you need to go grab something, refill the coffees. Now's the time to do so. I still love your I am happily just like whoever the new chair is. Thanks. All right. Are we ready to begin? 3, 2, 1. All right. Let's reaches. We're good. Well, good afternoon, everyone. One of the points I'll make in my chairman address is to use your diaphragm to make sure that everyone in this room can hear you. It might feel awkward, but if any of you were in theater, this is the time to use your theater projection voices, not 12-inch voices in the library. Just want to, welcome to Jackson. Very, very excited to be here. And I'll also call out thanks to Joni and his staff for putting this together. Joni will kind of give us a little rundown of the do's and don'ts of the airport operations, all that kind of stuff. So we got lots to discuss. I think the agenda, what you're going to find over this afternoon and tomorrow is going to be incredibly beneficial to you all. So I'm excited to get it going. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do roll call introductions. And so I'll have Jennifer ask. Oh, always forget. This used to be in the agenda. So before I begin roll call introductions, will we all please stand for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So just to make sure, we do have a handful of new council members, so I would just like to welcome them as well as know where they're from and their jobs. So when Jennifer calls for your name in the roll call vote, please just give your name, where you're from, and what you currently do and represent while you're on this council. So we'll make that nice and quick. So Jennifer, will you please call roll call?
Governor Mark Gordon or designee?
Present. Lauren Sheenfeld, I'm a senior policy advisor for the governor. I work on workforce development and the Wyoming Innovation Partnership and economic development.
Senator Dockstader, Representative McKay Erickson, Chair Eric Trowbridge.
Here, Eric Trowbridge, or ET for short. I am your chairman. In my day life, I am the Director of Development of Enterprise Applications for Blue Metal Credit Union.
Michael Kircher, Brian Bledsoe,
Present. Let's see, who am I? I'm the president and owner of a staffing and recruiting company based out of Southwest Wyoming. Heavily involved in Next Gen Sector Partnership there in Southwest, and yeah, I'm representing business in the industry.
Tony Cross,
Here, I'm the Chief Human Resources Officer for the Jacksonville Airport.
Larry Fodor,
Present. I'm with Mechanical Systems out of Cheyenne, Commercial Plumbing and Heating, board president for the Wyoming Construction Coalition, and heavily involved in the next gen efforts in Southeast.
Taylor Tennis, Bria Hammock,
Present. I'm Bria Hammock. I'm a vice president of destination strategy at Valley Media, and I also own
Katie Hogarty.
I'm here. Are we gonna do introductions?
Yes.
Hi, sorry to be screeching in. I'm Katie Fogarty, the CEO of Find My Own, a nonprofit that works with low income single moms and fathers.
Travis Lawrence.
Here, Travis Lawrence, President of First Northern Bank of Wyoming, the current chairman of the Strategic Performance and Finance Committee on the council, and I guess appointed for private industry in the council.
Deborah Zalnowski.
Present, I'm Debbie Zalnowski, I'm the general manager of the Holiday Inn Express in Gillette.
Wendy Fiskett John. Danny Bureau.
Present, Danny Bureau, small restaurant owner in Saratoga, Wyoming, representing hospitality, travel, sit on the Hospitality and Travel Coalition as well, and chair of the advocacy committee.
Tom Van Fleet.
Here, I'm Van Cleef, I'm Casper. Essentially, I guess I'm here to represent the oil and gas industry, primarily the small operators, as well as some aviation interests and some general business interests.
Stacy, please forgive me.
Balkan.
Stacy
Balkan.
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 Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Stacy Balkan. This is my first meeting, so pleasure to meet you all. I work at the data center specifically for Microsoft. I'm the DHS manager up there. So I'm mainly here to represent the business side of things in the data center world.
Charles Wilson.
Present, Charlie Wilson, Randy White.
I'm the director of the Wyoming Department of Workforce Services.
Brenda Morgan.
That's it.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Director of the Wyoming Community College Commission or designee.
Hello, it's Laurel Ballard. I am the Deputy Director and Chief Academic and Student Services Officer for the Wyoming Community College Commission.
Nikki Harper. She's present, she INC. Superintendent Degenfelder or designee.
This is Dr. Michelle Aldrich, and I am representing Superintendent Megan Felder for this meeting. I serve as the Career and Technical Education Director over grades K through 14 in Wyoming.
Corinne Schmidt or designee. Josh Durrell or designee. Senator Dan Hofstadter.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Great, thank you, Jennifer. All right, we're gonna move on to agenda item number B now, which is the approval of today's agenda. So all of you have had the opportunity, at least for the last couple of days, to take a look at what we have in store for us today and tomorrow. So as your chairman, I would welcome a motion to approve the agenda as written.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Bureau. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Warren. Any council discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes to approve the agenda for our Q3 meeting here in Jackson. We're going to move on to agenda item number C. Also, all of you have had the opportunity to review the meeting minutes from May when we were in Riverton. So I would also welcome a motion to approve these minutes as presented. So moved. A second from Bria. Any council discussion on our agenda meeting minutes? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the approval of the meeting minutes has been, yes.
Who was the past
Yes. All right, moving on to agenda item number 3 is message from the chairman for myself. So first of all, I want to say welcome, welcome, welcome to Jackson. I hope it looks like all of you got here safe and sound. It's great. I always say, I've seen the Tetons dozens of times, and every single time you come around that corner, they just have this magical ability to take your breath away. They truly are like major skyscrapers. So I'm really excited to be here. We've been working on our Q3 agenda for quite a bit already. As you know, a change that I made for council structure was that for us to go and visit a city in Wyoming, we would need a host. I wanted a host from this council, so that way we could bring in the right people into our council meetings to have meaningful discussions. And last year, Tony was so gracious in offering Jackson as one of our locations. It's been quite a while since this council has visited Jackson, so not only were we overdue, but Tony, obviously was able to provide a location for us. As you saw on the agenda, there's a lot of great topics happening. We've got a lot of focus around healthcare, housing, all different other kind of topics. One of the things that I will mention is one of your responsibilities as a council member is listen and learn, take it back. Go talk to your mayors, council. If you hear something that's really cool, how is Jackson solving or contributing to better home options, housing options? Take that back, just because Jackson's doesn't get it. They can't work in, Teton or other counties. So really it's about you going back to your own communities and your own networks and letting them know what you learned from these meetings. So first of all, I do want to say thank you to Tony for hosting us. Obviously I want to be respectful. This is very clearly an active airport. So Tony is gonna kind of just give us some quick do's and don'ts about, kind of proper etiquette on the airport, what things may happen in a rare event. We will, from time to time, you will hear airplanes coming in and coming out. So that's going to be normal. So those of you who are joining us remotely, I will try to, luckily the airplanes don't take very long, so we'll try to pause as the airplane moves through. But I also mentioned, I like this because this is exactly why we're here as a workforce council. We're here at a location that have, Wyoming employed workers, and they're doing some amazing different things. We're going to see all of that today in our tour. I want to say thank you to Tony. Can we just give a round of applause to Tony? And anyone who's saying thank you? We appreciate it. And Tony, what should we know about the airport? Logistics.
Chairman ET, welcome everybody to the airport. Also, welcome to Grand Teton National Park. If you're not already aware, this is the only commercial service airport located entirely within a national park. Really quickly, apologies for the slightly more industrial space than we normally meet in. I kind of think it's fun, but as ET said, there's a lot of noise.
So appreciate you tolerating that. There will be a lot more information on the tour that we do later. We're gonna give you a little presentation before that as well. But for the purposes of this space, that's the door to use, the one that you came in. You can't go out that way, that's a secure area. We are gonna pop open the bay doors during the break, and our security staff is gonna come down, so we'll be able to mill around, get a little bit of air out on the ramp. There's one bathroom right there. If that is occupied, there are more bathrooms in the next building over. So you would go out this door, take a right to the airport administration building, go in there, and there's bathrooms on the right. So out, right, next building, right. If there is some form of emergency, you'll hear the airfield alarm go off. Don't panic. All sorts of things happen. That alarm goes off for medical incidents and minor things all the time. I've worked here for 10+ years and there's never been a plane crash. There's no wood to knock out. But anyways, if that does happen, we're just going to stay put. And because this is an active workspace, this is our firehouse, as you can see. So you may see some people come in and out if there is an unanticipated emergency. And if we do need to move, again, this is not going to happen, but if we do, they'll direct us where to go until we got that door. But that's all I have for now. If anyone has it, I take it back. Everyone should have one of these tickets in front of them. So when you leave, use this to get out of the parking lot. Don't use the ticket that you pulled, because if you do, it's going to make you pay for it. So if you lose this ticket or whatever, I'll give you another one tomorrow. I've got a whole stack of them here. But don't anybody pay for parking, though we appreciate the revenue, that's not what you're here for. And so that those tickets will get you out anytime between now and I don't know, the end of 2026 or something. And any other questions or anything? Cool, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Chair Tony. Yeah, so I'm excited to be here. The little kid in me is kind of excited to look at this. How cool is that? And Tony will definitely speak to these very state-of-the-art fire, trucks that service airplanes, all that kind of stuff. So, and of course, we're going to get a really behind-the-scenes tour of the Jackson Hole Airport. So we get to see a whole different industry at play. So very, very exciting. So like I said, be respectful, be timely, so that we make sure we're not bothering any employees here. So a few things I want to talk about. Yes.
Are we okay to take pictures?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay, so photos are allowed. Is that as well as looking on the tour as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Anywhere you go. Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
So feel free and share with your family and friends like how cool it is. Like you're at a meeting, this gigantic fire truck and a bunch of really cool airplanes. So first of all, I want to welcome a few new council members, and this is their first meeting. I remember my first meeting almost 8 years ago and how nerve-wracking it was. Like, I don't know any of these people. I don't know why I'm here. So I want to make sure that I give the opportunity just for those who are new or have not been to a council meeting before, just to once again reintroduce yourself. And the question I'd like you to answer is, why did you apply to be on this council? What made you compelled to say, you know what, I want to serve on the Wyoming Workforce Development Council? So I do believe we have two at least that are it's their first meeting. And then I think actually Senator, is this your first in person? Yeah, so we'd love for you, Senator, kind of introduce yourself. So why don't we start with you, Senator?
So you get just like that?
Yeah, just like that.
My name is Dan Doxler, serve in Wyoming Senate District 16. You're almost in my home. It includes Lincoln and the southern part of Teton County. And actually just came from an air transportation meeting over at the Jackson Town Hall, all about dealing with the busiest airport in Wyoming, which is Jackson, over this meeting here. Why am I interested? Because workforce development is key. Southern end of my area, southern end of the area that I represent, is building a nature nuclear plant. And we're constantly dealing with how we're going to fill those job requirements, plus the coal, the power plant, Trona Patch, and all of that. We move up here, is how do we fill these job requirements in Jackson? Right now, we're running 1,100 people up the canyon from Star Valley to work at Jackson. My personal job is media. We own a series of 3 different radio stations, a newspaper, website, and we do all the live stream football. If you ever watch the football at Moore Memorial Stadium, the high school football, at the end of the season, that's us. That's what we do. But as we deal with the housing situation and the workforce situation, here on the western side of the state. We need workers, but we don't have an affordable situation, so that's a concern for me. I also serve as chairman of the board for Lower Valley Energy. We bring you these lights compliments of Lower Valley Energy today. Lower Valley Energy serves Star Valley and Jackson. Right now, it's the cheapest power in the nation, 5.6 cents a kilowatt hour. We're trying to keep it that way, but we might have to inch it up a little bit. But we've gone through, as a co-op, about 76 people that we employ, is trying to find affordable housing for our workforce. So there's a variety of issues that interest me in that time here. And when the Senate President says, I'm looking for someone, raise my hand. That's it.
Well, thank you, sir. We're very excited to have you, so welcome to the Wyoming Workforce Development Council. I'm gonna go down the road because I do believe this is Mr. Tom, his first meeting also. Yeah, Tom, why are you here and what made you come to the Workforce Council? Welcome.
Well, thank you. Having lived and worked all over the world, we chose Wyoming to come home to. When we got here, we realized that there were tremendous opportunities, not just for us. There's lots of opportunities here in Wyoming for everyone who came to Wyoming. The issue that we found is we started to work on businesses. As we, worked in the oil and gas industry, we discovered the boom or bust. And every time we had a down cycle, everybody decided they were gonna depart the state and go somewhere else. When those skill sets were transferable to other necessary jobs here in the state. So we didn't have to lose our people just because of the boom and bust cycle. So we could hold on to those folks. In a boom, we could draw more talented people in to support our industries. Full disclosure, I am a pilot. My airplane's out there on the ramp. Tony told me I cannot use this to get my airplane off the ramp. So y'all are ahead of me on that. But in the aviation industry, we are short nationwide 650,000 mechanics. We're short 4,000 pilots. But if you can't turn a wrench on an airplane, the airplane doesn't fly. I have 2 aviation businesses at the airport in Casper. And it's a critical shortage, not only for our commercial aviation that we rely on so heavily, but for general aviation, which we rely on equally as heavily here in Casper. So my motivation for volunteering to come see what I can do to help y'all was to help the community and help Wyoming. We have the skill sets, we have the talents, we just need to get the people matched up with the right jobs. And we have to be able to give our people the training that they need to be able to use their skill sets and stay in Wyoming and make Wyoming even more amazing than it is. Like I said, we've lived all over the world. I could have picked anywhere in the world to live. I picked Wyoming and I never regretted a second.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mr. Rumpel, and well, yeah, we're really excited to have you. And last but not least, their first Wyoming Workforce Development Council meeting, we have Stacy Balkin.
Yes, hello everyone. Just a brief rundown of me. I've been a resident of Wyoming for 27 years. We chose Wyoming because my family lives here. I've raised children here. I've found my husband here, and we don't plan on leaving. So if I don't step in and help to increase the workforce, then what am I doing with my life, right? How am I giving back? And the primary aspect that I focus on are my own children. So I have to lay the foundation so that they can have a better and brighter future in this state. So what I'm looking at are the educational aspects, how can we develop our workforce, and much like what both of you said, how do we keep them here? In my line of work in the data center world, we're grabbing them from wherever we can. And we're getting a lot of people from Colorado because Wyoming doesn't have the workforce that we need. So we need to make sure they not only come here, but they stay here and they grow here. So that's what I'm hoping to achieve on this board, is to help with the educational aspects and the advocacy to let everyone know what type of services we have here in the state.
Well, thank you, Stacy. So can you, a quick round of applause, welcome to our 3 new council members. One of my favorite things about being part of this council is every single one of you around this table and then online, all of you bring such a unique perspective and experience and different viewpoints of what makes Wyoming tick. And it's part of our job to really improve that process, make recommendations, and to make sure that Wyoming is ready for the future workforce and addressing the issues that we have. So each of you play a very significant part. As I wrap up my notes, as you can see, I am speaking loudly, so please make sure that our folks online can participate and hear everyone. Theater voices, definitely use that diaphragm and shout. It might sound awkward. I feel awkward right now, so I'm shouting at all of you, and I am. But I want to make sure everyone has the ability to participate, whether in person and or online. And like I mentioned, airplanes may be coming and going. So you heard this one not too long ago. It's pretty quick. So online folks, let us know if that is an issue. And the last thing I want to just touch on, I did mention it in my video before, is it's so important that we get to meet together in person, or mostly 4 times a year. Please, as you would any other job or commitment that you make, just go to your calendar and budget 1 hour to review the agenda and all the materials before you arrive. It's so important for us to have really meaningful, engaged discussions, and I don't want you showing up here, rushing in, sitting down like, oh, what's going on? Who's presenting? What are we talking about? What are we voting on? I want to make sure to just take 1 hour and just commit to looking it over. Also, there is that annotation feature within Onboard, so you can make your own notes. If you have a question that you want to ask one of our speakers, you can do that ahead of time. And yeah, I just say, I'm really excited about this meeting. There's going to be a lot of important topics, so I encourage engagement. And then my last 2 things at the very end of the meeting, we have decided on our 2026 location. So dates not yet set, but they will be May and September. But as I conclude the adjourned meeting tomorrow, I'll let you know where we're going. 2026. It's always really exciting to say where we're going to all be headed to. So I'll have that. And then my last update before I pass it off to Dr. Gagan. For the Department of Workforce Services update, we did get some clarification from the governor's office that my 8-year term will expire at the end of March. So I'll be with you for this meeting, November and January, and then I will be with you for your subcommittees, but then as of April 1st, we'll kind of talk as that time gets closer, but I've got about 6 more months with all of you before my last term. So 8 years went by really fast. I don't know where all that went. But yeah, we'll talk about that process as we kind of move, and I want to make sure there's a smooth transition for any chairmanship changes. So, all right, with that being said, I think it's time to dig in. So, Director Gagan, off to you.
Thank you. Again, my name is Liz Gagan, and I am the Director of the Department of Workforce Services. And I thank you all for being here, and many thanks to Tony and his employer for being so welcoming. I've never kind of seen the underbelly of an airport before, so I'm very excited. And thanks to Jennifer for always sending out the survey, so I have some idea what everyone wants to kind of hear about. And this time, probably no surprise, there are many questions about funding. So I want to give you a little bit of an update of kind of where we are. When we met last May, the White House had released its skinny budget. Now we have the complete White House proposed budget. We have a Senate committee, United States Senate committee budget, a marked up House committee budget. To my understanding, they're actually working on that today. And then we have one big beautiful bill, or what some people call HR 1. So let me start with one big beautiful bill. It doesn't affect the Department of Labor a lot, but what it does is it's creating the Workforce Pell Grants. So Workforce Pell Grants are designed to include short-term, career-focused training programs. And the Big Beautiful Bill directly involves workforce boards by giving them a central role by determining which programs are going to be eligible for this new funding. This is not going to go into effect until July 1 of 2026. We don't know exactly what this is going to look at, but the National Governors Association is very aware of this and studying it and starting to talk about kind of best practices and where workforce boards can go. So as we learn more, we will let you know. But sometime next year, I would say more likely than not, this workforce board will be determining which programs will be part of the new Workforce Pell Grants. Then, kind of going back to budgets, the White House proposed budget. The skinny budget told us a lot of this, but the full budget lets us know that what the White House would like is to combine most of the grants that we receive from the Department of Labor into one grant called Make America Skilled Again. And all of the grants that are getting kind of put together into this Make America Skilled Again grant would be funded at a level that is 24% less than they are funded right now. I mean, and if the proposed budget were to be accepted and passed, it would really be impossible to know how this would affect Wyoming because the Secretary of Labor would have to put together a formula to determine how those funds would be distributed. But just as kind of an idea, if we were to lose 24% of our general DOL funding, that would be a reduction of about $2.2 million a year. We generally receive about $9 million. The White House proposed budget eliminates the Job Corps program and also eliminates adult basic ed. But then, this summer in August, a Senate committee passed its proposed budget. And with a few exceptions, the Senate version of the budget keeps the DOL programs that we use pretty low. It does not eliminate Job Corps. It does not eliminate adult basic education. So it's really pretty level, and they're very similar to what we're used to. But then yesterday, we received a copy of a House committee budget. Again, I believe that they are meeting on this budget today to mark it up. But what we know is there is a Republican summary that says there is a 28% cut to Department of Labor. There is a Democrat summary that says there's a 30% cut to Department of Labor and a 35% cut to Employment and Training Administration, which is where the bulk of our funding comes from. It does propose eliminating or cutting as follows. It would eliminate the WIOA youth formula funding. It would combine the WIOA adult and dislocated worker funding. It eliminates adult basic education. It eliminates the senior community service program. It would eliminate any reentry employment opportunity programs. It would reduce Job Corps by 50%, but not eliminate it. It would also reduce the maximum Pell Grant by about $1,000. So we have three of the White House proposed budget and the House committee proposed budget are, kind of close, but the Senate budget is really pretty far away. So there is a lot of uncertainty. With our DOL funding, it usually comes in June, so we don't have any immediate concerns because we already have our funding to get us through June 30, 2026. Really, though, a lot of uncertainty. Most people think that there will be either a continuing resolution or shutdown. I think it's highly unlikely that they would pass a federal budget before the next federal fiscal year, which begins on October 1st. And everything is so uncertain, we're not really making any changes right now. Kind of waiting for it all to happen to really make the best decisions that we can. On the state front, we are finishing out a biennium, which means that we have funding through June 30, 2026. The Department of Workforce Services submitted its budget to the state budget department last Friday. And Workforce Services is not seeking any additional state funding other than for computer replacements, which is a pretty typical thing that happens. Of course, we don't know what the state budget will look like, but the legislature will begin meeting in February for a budget session, and we will likely know something by the first week in March. And kind of amidst all of the battle in budgets, we are receiving different guidance documents from both the White House and from the Department of Labor. We received some guidance about AI and the Department of Labor's suggestion that we include kind of AI in the training programs that we provide. We also received this, it's called America's Talent Strategy, Building the Workforce for the Golden Age. Jennifer tried to put this in Onboard for you, but there was something glitchy. She will send it to you. But this is the White House's kind of plan forward. We've heard a lot of the things that are in here. We know that the administration is very interested in apprenticeships and WiMAX learning, which are things that our Department of Workforce Services and this council have always been interested in. So those things are good. There is also an industry skills driven grant that Department of Labor just released in August. It is due, I think, at the end of this week. Wyoming will apply for this industry skills driven grant. It is particularly for certain industries, which are shipbuilding, advanced manufacturing, energy production to include nuclear, as well as fossil and legacy and legacy fuels, as well as AI development. And if Wyoming were to receive this grant, we would be able to then grant money to Wyoming businesses for them to be able to upskill their current employees as well as new employees. So it functions, I think, a lot like the training grants that we are already giving businesses, but it would allow a business to, really train more employees than our current program would allow. So that is kind of where we are in funding. Again, it's very uncertain. I would say, other than the certainty around apprenticeships and work-based learning being very important. There were also some questions that I received about supporting our construction trade industry. As we all know, there are a lot of very large construction projects going on in the state, and many of our smaller companies are losing employees. And what are things that we can do to support those smaller companies? Of course, we can continue to assist with apprenticeships and internships and training grants. We can continue to offer safety training through our OSHA department, and continue to support our next gen sector partnerships. And that's really where these members of this industry kind of get together and talk about strategies that they may have. But of course, we can support them if they were to seek a grant from the council to do so. And then, kind of that, as Chairman Trowbridge mentioned, we can listen and learn and kind of take it back to our own communities. So as you talk with folks in your community, you may want to talk about the construction industry and things that can be done to help get more, get the pipeline going, and understanding that there are a lot of small construction companies that are having a hard time finding employees. So that is my workforce services update. And any questions, by all means, find me on a break or during the tour. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Director Gabe. Any quick questions? Ms. Full?
I just got a kind of everybody's in that same boat, I think, right now too. Everybody's short-handed all over the country. Especially in Wyoming, Montana, Colorado. Everybody's looking for workers. And I think everybody realizes that they're not going to find what they need. So I think that same, everybody's trying to figure it out at the same pace. So,
Yeah, they do. I think, a lot of times it can be easy, especially as a small state and country, to think that all of the problems that face Wyoming are unique to us. They're not. When I go and I talk to other state chairs across the country, they all have the same thing. So really, if you have any connections in other states or even countries, not just the United States, but other countries are doing something really well, honestly, find out what they're doing that makes it. We do not need to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to. Other states have figured it out, so we can help other states as well. Yeah. Is there one more quick comment? Yeah, we'll take Senator, and then we'll do Katie.
The grant you mentioned, is that a matching grant at all at the local level, at the state level?
It is not a matching grant. Well, it would require the employer to pay 20% of the training costs, but the state does not need to match it.
Right, thank you, Senator. And lastly, Katie.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. And, thank you, Director Megan. It's such an impossible time to be leading with all the uncertainty right now. So really appreciating the stability that you're bringing to the state. And I'm curious, not on the funding side, but are you shifting your strategy at all, knowing that the funding impacts are really hurting families right now and increasing barriers to work? Are you adjusting your strategy at all just to support families that are experiencing more barriers now?
Can you help me with the barriers that?
Yeah, I just, so I'm just speaking from do we have time for this?
There's a few minutes.
Yeah. So the funding cuts right now are really impacting things like healthcare, housing, transportation, food security. I'm seeing that on the ground right now. Families experiencing more barriers to go to work, and so I'm curious what if you're shifting the strategy to think about that in the way the state so that people can access work or reduction of barriers. Does that question make any sense?
I think so. WIOA was always set up to offer supportive services for people who have barriers to employment, and those supportive services, can really kind of run the gamut. It could be child care while someone's in a training program. It could be, if there's, while someone's in a training program, VR may be able to pay for some medication. So we haven't necessarily shifted a strategy because those supports have always been there. But of course, in the face of either level or decreasing funding, then there are less of those types of support services that we're able to offer.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Director. And yeah, just want to really just quickly touch on what ECK is. Also a reminder to the council, most likely in your term serving here, it'll be a very interesting time. On the workforce, a lot of changes happening, whether it's coming from AI, workforce, federal, you name it. So it is also very important for us to maintain composure and have really professional conversations. And just knowing that we're leading during a very difficult time, and so all of you do play a big role in how that plays out in Wyoming, right? So yeah, we share all of that responsibility. Thank you, Director Gagan, I agree, for being kind of that stake in the ground and making sure we're sticking the path. So thank you. Awesome. All right, moving on to our next agenda item, which is agenda item number 5, is spending plan and expenditures, which is a voting item. So Jennifer, are you there? And can you share the data with us, please?
I am, Mr. Chairman. Hopefully y'all can hear me and see the expenditure report on your screen.
All right.
Thumbs up, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Perfect. And these materials are also available to you and on board if it's hard to see. And for the new members, my name is Jennifer Cassidy. I am the Deputy CFO for the Department of Workforce Services. And we will start with the council's budget. So as usual, at the top here, we've got the 3 grant years that are currently open. It looks like we're wrapping up grant year 23. The amount here represented for grant year 25 is just the youth award and the 15% that the council receives for the youth award. So this number will go up when we are able to reflect the 2 rounds of funding for adult and dislocated worker. But right now, as of the end of July, just over 700,000 available for the council. And there's expenditures here for July at just over 37,000, which is pretty average and normal for the council, nothing standing out there. Scrolling down here, we've got our current projects with the amounts that the council authorized, what's been spent, and what the obligation is, as well as the expiration date. I think that was some information that council members had requested that we included on here. And I will pause here before I move on to the agency budgets to see if there's any questions on the council side.
Great, do you have any questions from the council side? All right, Jennifer, go ahead.
Okay. The second tab here is really just a breakdown for each of the 3 grants for each of the years that are open, and how much goes to administration, operations, and to participants, as well as what is available at this point in time. And the next tab here is on the agency expenditures. These amounts here at the top should reflect what you're seeing on that second tab, just more of a breakdown. And expenditures were at 345,000. Again, pretty normal. Nothing that we're too concerned about there. And again, we will be adding the other amounts into operations, administration, and participants once we're able to reflect those other grant awards. And Mr. Chairman, that was everything I wanted to highlight, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Awesome, thank you, and I also appreciate on the council budget side the new additions. And there was some feedback that came from our former council meetings, so thank you for adding that. Any questions for Jennifer? All right, hearing none, then I would welcome a motion to approve the spending plan and expenditures as presented today.
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion from Mr. Lawrence. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Bureau. Any council discussion? All right, all in favor of approving our spending plan and expenditures, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the motion does pass. All right, and we have our folks from the left. Great. So our agenda item number 6, we did discuss this in Richmond in May, and we're going to kind of continue that conversation for the second approval or review of their second submission there. So we have Tom Grogan. Are you on there, Tom?
I sure am, yeah, thank you.
Good to see you again. Long time. I need to make you back to Casper. Tell Summer hello.
I will definitely do that, thank you.
Awesome. Well, the floor is yours, Tom. So.
Okay. Well, I did send some information to Jennifer, and I don't know if you'd like me to share my screen. I'm not sure, or if you guys just want to go through the stuff that I shared with her. How would you like me to do this?
Yeah, do we have any slides that, or she's on board?
Tom, you can share your screen if you like. I did upload all the materials into Onboard, which is also in the link that I put for our public materials. But Tom, if you want to share your screen, you can, or I can.
I can just share. It's not a big deal. You guys will just have to bear with me here just real quick though, okay?
Yeah, we have Onboard with regard to supporting documents, talking about the background of Lyft and kind of what the grant funding request is.
Sure. So I just wanted to give everyone kind of a breakdown of what the money that you guys gave to us this year and what it did. Our top three keynote speakers, you guys helped provide transportation and lodging and some speaker fees for Chad Varga, Jessica O'Neill, and Heather Shoemaker out of Cheyenne to come to Casper and share with our students. It was absolutely fantastic. The funding was tremendous, and we're very much appreciative. And you can see some of the other speakers that we had share in May. Some speakers from all over the state, not just Casper. So that information there, and then some other speakers. I mean, it was literally from Jackson to Torrington, Casper, Cheyenne. We had people from everywhere, which was really cool. The next thing I wanted to go through, and I'm just trying to be cognizant of your time and my time because I'm teaching right now, and I'm taking a step away. So, some of you have probably seen the Wyoming Business Council. I had a meeting in July with Bert Adam, and he was sharing some information with me. And you'll just have to. I'm apologizing if you've seen this. But one of the big things that we are doing with Lyft is we are trying to entice and recruit high school students to think about having their future be in Wyoming. And this figure, it's on a double screen. And I don't know if you guys have this available in front of you. If not, that's fine. But I just wanted this document and this graph to be shared with everyone. If you've seen it, you understand it. Basically, my target audience right now is between 18 and 25. Okay. And you can see that our out migration is ranked somewhere between 49 and 50th in the state. And I don't think that this is any new information. Kids don't want to be in Wyoming. And so we're really trying to figure out why, and we're trying to entice the kids to stay here. And I know that it's not just us, but I feel like a lot of the programs really have been directed at like the post-secondary uh, kids, young adults. And I think that there needs to be more of a focus on our high school kids and trying to convince them that Wyoming actually does have a lot to offer. And so our speaker lineup that I showed you before, those are all Wyoming folks. Well, all of them except Chad Varga, who's a nationally renowned speaker. They're all local people that either stayed in Wyoming, went to college someplace else, came back to Wyoming, and are doing really awesome things. And I just think that stories like that are really important for kids so that they understand that their story can be very similar to that. And so just kind of putting the two pieces together. The last thing I wanted to show you was just some statistics from our previous conference. So this was data that we pulled from our kids before the conference. And this year, our conference was in May. For the last 6 years, it's been in September. And so we kind of had like this back and forth with districts around the state because, getting kids out of school and having them come to Casper on a Wednesday is difficult for some teachers and some kids. And so, most of our kids are from Casper. We had a handful of kids from Powell, kid from Rollins. We had some kids from Forest and Eden, if you can believe it, that came and spent the day with us. You can see that the vast majority of things that these kids are interested in is health and medicine. But there's some business stuff, there's engineering. Quite a few of our kids that we are recruiting to our conference are college kids. They want to go to college, they want to do their thing. But here's really the big thing that I wanted to bring. Many of the kids, how likely are you to go to college in Wyoming? I mean, a little over 30%. Okay. And then, the big one, how likely are you to stay in Wyoming after you graduate? I mean, it's very similar to the graph that I just showed with our out migration. I mean, it's not great. But with that being said, we've been doing this data collection for the last 3 years. This is the best data that we have pulled over the last 3 years. So I don't know if I think the word is out on kind of what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish as a conference and as an organization. There are more kids that want to stay in Wyoming than what we have been seeing previously. And I don't, not going to say that it's just Lyft. I think that there are a lot of components to this. But I would like to believe that, the information that we're sending out to high schools and sharing is making a difference. Some of the factors that would incentivize people to stay, I mean, I think we all want higher paying jobs. So that's on top of the list. But, diversity, families obviously up there as well. And then Heather Shoemaker, she actually gave a presentation, and in the middle of her presentation, she had the kids poll as well. And so some of the kids filled it out. I just wanted to go to those. So like, are you most appreciative about Wyoming? I mean, these are just some of the things that she asked. And so as we were going through the conference, the kids were live feeding this stuff back, which was really cool. Um, how satisfied with you are your educational opportunities in Wyoming? I mean, most of the kids feel pretty good about being in Wyoming. It's just the after the fact. And then, the last question that she asked, 1 man or 100 gorillas, or 100 men or one gorilla. It's kind of a fun way to connect kids. So that's what we're seeing. I think as you guys looked at our proposal, I believe it was in May or June. I can't remember when you guys met last. But you did approve us for $15,000, and we're very grateful and very much appreciate the support over the last couple of years. I think the question that got brought back to us is really directed on kind of our future and our next step. I think there are 8 of us on our board. All of us are doing this voluntarily. We're all pouring our own money into this conference as well. And I think that the big thing for us is like, what's our capacity? And I think for a voluntary based organization, we're pretty close to our capacity. And so the big push that we are trying to take, step that we're trying to take next is, can we hire someone that is going to be the program director of our conference and be in charge of all of these pieces? Because right now my wife and I are doing all of this stuff. She's running her own business. I'm a football coach and a teacher and have my profession. It's just, I mean, it's stretching us really, really thin. And, we are going to continue to do this, but I don't know how much longer we can do it with the fidelity that we have done it. So that's where we're going. And some of you have been involved in nonprofit organizations for a while. And I think, from our standpoint, it's like our next step really is to try to hire somebody that is going to take things over and like really be in charge. So that's all I have. I mean, I'm happy to answer any questions anybody might have about what we do and where we want to go.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ron. I did speak to this in May when we reviewed kind of the whole thing, and we decided to kind of split it into 2 for consideration of some more time to think about it. Like I said before, on my personal note, Tom, I think I was involved first or second or third Lyft and all that stuff, and it started from 20 kids, 15 kids, and then I think the last one I was at, it was incredible. It was like, 50, 100 kids, and I just felt the speakers, the quality of the speakers, like, I've never heard of another state putting together a conference for high school students. I just thought it was such a unique, innovative idea. And actually, when I was in Billings, Montana, in August, I asked as many state chairs if they had done anything along these lines. I thought, that's a good idea, no, it's like, and, as Tom mentioned, it's for that data that he's been able to pull from some of these Wyoming high school students. We all know, and it's been true ever since I was born here 40 years ago, which was the number one thing Wyoming does well is we ship people out. So as you saw, we are either number 1 or number 2 of youth. They go in. I think the last bit of data I saw, 2/3 of every single Wyomingite born in Wyoming leave Wyoming before 30. So that is really scary data. We're number 1 or number 2 in the entire country with exporting talent. Well, isn't it interesting that so many of our topics are about we have no workforce because they're leaving. So for me, a huge priority is what is going on? How do we retain these people? How do we get them high-paying jobs? How do we get them the skills we need? Wyoming has a unique opportunity to take advantage of what the future is going to bring in AI, technology, all sorts of different industries. We have an advantage to turn the ship around. So I just want to say, Tom, it's been great seeing the growth of Lyft, and I know how much you, Summer, and the team pour into that. It's a genuine, I would personally love to see this go statewide. Bring all the high school students in once a year. I think it's a fantastic idea. It is unique that Wyoming can definitely grow and grab. So that's my 2 cents. I would definitely, obviously, love for any council discussion around the second part. The second part, is to approve or to review the full grant request. Amount is, well, let's pull it up super quick. It's for the second half, which is roughly around $15,000. So in total,
$17,500.
$17,500 for the second portion of supporting Lyft. So I would like to open up to the council for any discussions or questions that you have for Tom. Yes.
E.T. Tom, Peter, Nicolason, can you hear me?
I can. I'm just going to apologize to you guys. I can see that you're in, it looks like a garage of some kind. And so all of your voices are really echoey on my end, but I can hear you, yes.
All right, I'll try to speak up. Tom, in your materials, you express a vision to grow your program into other communities. And since I'm a Natrona County guy, I like that you're so heavily weighted right now in Kelly Walsh, NC, Roosevelt, our local high schools. What's your vision of bringing your programming to other communities across the state?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So our thought was, how do we get our leaders from around the state to Casper? And at first it was athletes. Do we try to reach out to sports programs? Do we try to reach out to student councils? And quite honestly, the most logical answer was student councils, because most high schools have a student council program. One of our board members is or was the student council sponsor here at Natrona. We've had student council sponsor from Kelly Walsh, and both of them were involved in the direction of the WASC program. And they brought the information to the Wyoming Student Council, whatever WASC stands for, and just said, hey, we have this opportunity with Lyft. It's definitely a leadership conference. It would benefit every high school. And all of the teachers kind of poo-pooed it. And I didn't understand why. But I am personally reaching out to and calling and talking to many of the student council leaders throughout the state. I think my list right now is up to 16 different student council sponsors that I've talked to, and none of them have said, no, we don't like the idea. It's just, how do we fit it into an already busy schedule from the kids that we ask the most out of in every high school? And I think it's a fair question. And so that is really the clientele that we're trying to reach, because, if we're going to be honest with you, like the people who are going to shake and move Wyoming in a direction that all of us want it to go, it's those kids that are already proven themselves as young leaders that we want to stay and make some changes here in the next several years. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but that's where we're at.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Commissioner Nicolason. Brenda, I see your hand up online.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Hi, Tom, this is Brenda Morgan. I'm here in Casper with you. Just want a quick clarification on those figures you showed on the slides. That was a response from 100 participants, correct?
That's right, yeah.
Okay. And my next question in regards to that, I noticed that when they have the registration survey, it asks them, what are your plans after graduation? And it looked pretty high that most of them were wanting to leave the state. Do you guys do a closeout exit survey with them to see if their, impressions had changed after the LIFT presentation?
We do, but we don't have any formal data collection. We have all of our volunteers on site, and myself at the very end. We have kind of closing ceremonies, and we have the kids talk. We talk as a whole group. I think this year we had 230 kids that actually showed up. That I think there were about 30 that did not register, that showed up day of, and we just have a candid conversation at the end. And it's hard to say because kids, you don't really know how honest they're being because, Coach Grogan is standing up in front of them and most of them know me. But there were quite a few kids that said, no, this actually did have an impact on my future decisions. And so I think like our biggest issue right now is we've been doing this for 8 years. Okay. So where are our kids 8 years ago? Is there a way that we can track that data to see where those kids are at now? Now, as ET mentioned, the first few years, we only had between 30 and 50 kids. Okay. Last year we had 275 students that attended LIFT. This year we were about 230. And so like somehow, and I don't know what the legality of collecting information from kids who are younger than 18 and like asking them to respond back to us is. But that's what we need to try to figure out is like, where are those kids at and how are they 3-4 years ago? So I would say that that's part of our future process as well. But again, it's manpower, it's man hour, things that it's just hard to get people to volunteer more time, more effort into.
And I did have kind of a follow-up question to that. Have you reached out to Why Relocate? That's kind of a program that the state has to call people back into the state. Maybe they grew up in Wyoming and yet they are working out of state. DWS is part of a DWS program. It's Why Relocate. So I was curious if you had any collaboration with them.
Have not at all. I've never even heard of them until right now. I'm writing it down.
Okay.
It's WY.
Yeah, WY Relocate.
Okay, awesome. No, that's definitely an entity that I would be reaching out to.
Okay, because yeah, there is a campaign on the other side, and we've talked about this before, to bring people back to Wyoming. So as ET said, we don't want to reinvent the wheel, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at too, is like, we never wanted to step on anybody's toes because we know that there are definitely programs that are trying to do what we're doing, but we did not see anything that was targeted directly at high school students.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, great question, Brenda. Thank you for clarifying, Charlie. Trying to get teenagers to fill out surveys, who know how difficult that would be, but we have learned that the hard way, so. Yes?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Tom, this is Tom Van Cleef. I'm also from Casper. I want to say that I think the program is focused and targeted in a great way, reflecting on the director's recap and summary of what funding is going to look like in the next several years, going down from the Department of Labor and federal government, and the restrictions they're putting on it. My first concern for the program is that in the application, which I'm sure reflects the training and employment guidelines and all the requirements that the grant has, we are very thin on supporting metrics. We're very thin on the things that we can do to defend funding this program, not only currently, but especially in the future. So I would think, and I would hope that we would put some significant thought into how to measure the success, because what gets measured gets done. And if we can measure it, then we can focus the efforts more effectively on achieving the program's goals. Second note, along those lines, I look at all the metrics that we did collect. I won't bore you with math, but the program seems to be heavily weighted towards secondary education, towards college, with the assumption that the kids are going to go to college. My friends here who who are in the trades, and those of us who, I did go to college, but by God, I need a lot of tradesmen, I need a lot of skilled professionals. I would hope that we would, in the future, recognize the fact that, unfortunately, or just as a fact of life, the bulk of our students of our high school cohorts probably are either not going to go to college immediately, or they may not graduate from college based on UW's graduation rates. So I would hope that we would take that majority of the kids in the high school cohort and we would find a way to include them with the potential for them to remain in Wyoming without having college as a precursor for that. I think if we do that, we're going to have a much higher success rate, and you may be able to get better data from kids who are working here locally in Wyoming, because we help them find jobs here locally in Wyoming. Just two thoughts.
Yeah, thank you. And I would just say to that, we actually did have Sean Peverly. He did graduate from University of Wyoming. He actually advocated to not go to college at Lyft this year and said those exact words, and was very adamant about kids having an idea of like the trades that they're interested in and really pushing that ideology on them. And Kyle Corley was the other one. He actually was a teacher with me. He was a woodshop teacher, and just recently opened a company called Wyo Spas, and is doing electrical and plumbing work, and building custom jacuzzis and pools here in Casper, and had a very similar message. And I am 100% with you. The trades right now is such an important part of what we're doing. Unfortunately, those students are the ones that don't want to be in high school and they don't want to listen to their teachers right now. And so when we're like, hey, you should really come to this Lyft Wyoming thing, they're like, another school thing? Yeah, right. I don't want to do it. And so we are trying, I promise, we really are. Because those kids are just as important as anybody.
Yeah. Biggest part we've been, yeah, thanks, Tom. Yes.
Right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tom, it's Ryan Bledsoe here. Kind of two questions. One is this conference the only venue that Lyft has to reach students? Is the first one. And then the second one is just looking at the total request of an additional $17,500 from the council and getting 205 responses, which I think what you're doing is fantastic, don't get me wrong, but what I'm looking at is just a per cost per pupil, what data we're getting back. And the second question, that's the data point, the question is how do we get that cost per pupil down? How do you scale this beyond just hiring more people and reaching more children?
Yeah, I think the to answer your first question, as of right now, yes, the only venue that we have is in Casper. We have talked to other communities about having a what's the word I'm looking for, like a traveling Lyft program. But in order to do that, it would require just more planning, more preparation, more work, which again, like we're not saying no to work. It just would be more. And the 17,500, I mean, here's where I'm at with this group. And part of it is to answer the previous gentleman. I forgot what his name was, and I'm sorry. I totally recognize, I'm a history teacher. I'm watching the news every single day. I'm seeing exactly where DOGE is like cutting the legs out of a lot of different programs around the country. I understand where we're at. And when we wrote this application, it was right at the very beginning of all of it. And I looked at my wife and I said, there's a good chance that we're not going to get a single dollar from the Wyoming Workforce Development Council. And we understood that, but we filled out the application, the proposal. We did it anyways, with the idea that if there is these funds that we can request and get, it's only going to make our program and our conference stronger. So how do we reduce the numbers? Well, I think last year we we requested $25,000. And I think that we didn't even, I don't think that we used all of that. I think that we used like 16 or 17,000 is what we used. And Jennifer, you're gonna have to help me out on those numbers, but just going through all of my stuff, like I know that we didn't use everything that we asked for. So I guess I'm saying if we were to max out everything, the $32,500 is absolutely everything, but I do not see us using all of those dollars. So to reduce our numbers, I mean, you're right. 230 kids. I mean, for $30,000, that's a lot of money. And especially when you guys are trying to figure out exactly where this money needs to be allocated correctly and equally and fairly. Like I totally understand it. We're just trying to do what we think is best for our world right here.
Great. Brian, thank you, Tom. Any other council discussion before I would be, oh, we have one online? Trevor?
It's actually Trevor.
Oh, hi Trevor.
Tom, thank you for presenting today. I just got a message sent to me and I wanted to pass it along. I'll reach out via email to connect you. But I think our DVR program is interested in possibly partnering with you all. So I'll get an email over to you with Nikki from Vocational Rehab contact information so that you guys can connect.
That's awesome. Can you give me the name of that again? I'm just writing it down.
Oh yeah, DVR.
Okay, DVR?
Yep.
Okay. And that stands for what again?
Vocational rehabilitation.
Just vocational rehabilitation that you said?
Yep.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you for relaying that, Trevor. Well, this is also one of our biggest things that this council does is we are conveners. We connect people. And so I also go to Ryan's point, whether or not we decide to fund the remaining, amount being requested for Lyft, it is our duty also, if you have ideas on how to scale this, right? We're all leaders in Wyoming. Let's help other leaders also solve their own problems. If one person in Wyoming wins, we all win. So we shouldn't all be in a little silo. So definitely, that's what we're volunteering our time for, is really helping every Wyomingian be successful. So, and passing connections, awesome stuff. Great discussion from council. So I'll go ahead and just put it and ask for a motion, or I'll accept a motion from the council regarding the $17,500 request for Lyft. Yes, Charlie?
Yeah, I make such a motion to approve the $17,500.
Okay, so Charlie has made a motion to approve in full the $17,500 in this grant request.
Second.
Do I have a second? Mr. Cross has seconded. Council discussion before we go to a vote.
Open for discussion then?
Yes.
Sorry, I just don't understand it also. The 17.5 goes exactly where into this program?
I believe, Jennifer, you have the details, but it's mainly for the staff.
Actually, there's a lot of things this is paid for. So, let me go into the application real quick. So, in May, the council reviewed this, had some discussion, wanted to bring Tom back to talk a little more in depth. But they did approve $15,000 of the original amount requested. So, there is some personnel, so social media manager, a program director, there is request for supplies, outreach and recruitment, some transportation for teachers and other individuals to travel, teacher coverage, so paying for the substitute teachers, hotels, the college there in Casper provides the facility rental, and breakout session, and then this request is also to pay for the keynote speakers, in which a lot of them volunteer their time, but there's 3 of them that don't.
Thank you.
And this application, just for everyone's reference, to bring everyone back, because we do have a lot of people, it has been reviewed by U.S. Department of Labor, and all the activities have been approved.
Thank you, Senator.
I see where it goes now. On a sidebar, I think we should use this teacher as success story as a template across the state somehow. It doesn't exactly relate to spending the money right here, right now, but just a sidebar opinion.
Oh yeah, I agree. You know, I love seeing passionate individuals, and one of my key moments that I remember, Tom, was you in summer, that's where I left, leaving on my way out from Casper, drove all the way to low speed, and I had to leave, and you approached me and you said, how do we make this something bigger? You know, is there anything that, you know, I was like, oh my gosh, maybe we can. I love those big ideas, those engaged people, and yeah, so I really, I love that passion. That's what Wyoming needs. Yes, question.
ET, thanks. Tom, thanks. I like where you're headed. I'd like to see something else maybe geographically located, a second conference down in Cheyenne or something. I think that the dollar per attendee is important, but I also know that if you're bringing in the leaders, then maybe your program can also have a component that helps those leaders understand better how to take what you're presenting and communicate that to their peers. So your high school leaders take it to their peers, and maybe then they're listening to people they do want to hear from rather than their parents or their teachers. So I think there's some opportunity there, but I like what we've heard today, and I think I can support this.
Awesome. Thank you, Commissioner. Yes?
Mr. Chairman, just a quick question. This is probably for professional staff. Okay? The grant application, as it's filled out, does it properly comport with the training and employment guidance letters, the advisory circulars, Section 116 of WIOA? We do not put the council or the department at risk for funding by having an insufficient application because it's been reviewed and approved by DOL in its current format?
Correct. It has, we saved the letter for future reference, and then also, Director Gagan really has first right of refusal, so we don't bring any application to the council that Director Gagan wouldn't be comfortable signing. And then in this case, this is the second time we've submitted the application to USDOL. They did have some, like, you'll see in that application, it said program director, they're like, or executive director, they're like, does that mean program director? I'm like, yeah, it's the same thing. And they said, that's fine. The functions are in realm with what they do, and they asked us some clarifying questions, which we have answered. Tom also updated, so the application back in May, we did know back in May that we couldn't lift junior because it had an age group that isn't covered in WIOA. That has been taken out. So this application that Tom and that you see before you is follows US DOL guidelines. They have signed off, and that $15,000 that's already been awarded to Tom, he can use for any of those activities that are found in this application. And so it really today was bringing Tom back to talk more, answer more questions so that everyone can see him and have those questions, and then ask for the remainder of the request, which is $17,500.
Great. Thank you, Tom. And we gotta make sure he gets back to his classroom. He's a teacher, so want to be respectful of this time. So we have any quick comments before we go to vote? Yes, Warren, and then we'll take last one. We'll take Phil.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I support what this program's doing. I said this the last one. I still have concerns about the lack of outside industry engagement and involvement and investment. I think that there is the opportunity to partner with some additional people who might have funding, so that the entire amount doesn't come from the WIOA program, and that I also think will help build on the future of the success. So I will be voting no because I think that the additional amount is not necessary. I think that there's some other opportunities, but I do think that it's a good program, and I would love to see it scaled. But I think that there's other opportunities.
Thank you for clarification, Warren. And Phil.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing what you're trying to do. We are all trying to do the same thing. To be honest with you, keep people in Wyoming. What are some of the higher paying jobs we're telling them that they have around here? And another thing is like a bunch of money for keynote speakers, would it be at all possible for any like the labor leaders or big contractors to go in there and be speakers at those too, to just potentially offer some of that? They may be able to offer employment even after they're done with college or before.
We're able to capture that.
Would you like me to try to answer that question or follow up? Yeah, I think that that's a fantastic idea, and we've actually had many of our speakers create internships with kids that they've met at Lift Wyoming, because obviously they want to be there, they want to be engaged, and there's been some really awesome future programs that have been developed. In my wife's company is a really good example. You know, their marketing firm. They've had speakers they've had employees from their firm speak at Lyft. Some of the kids that are really interested in the avenue of marketing and social media specifically, how do I not just create TikToks? How do I not just create Instagram Reels, but how can I use that skill that I built over the last several years to make money for me? And so there's been some cool internships that have been built off of that. And in terms of the construction world, we get a handful of those kids, but not a ton of them. And I think that the more we can get, the more this can create some momentum, the easier that transition can be. But I mean, we're still relatively young as an organization, and so there's a lot that we need to learn. And I am always open to suggestions, and try to figure out how we can make this better for our youth, and better for Wyoming.
All right, Brian, last one.
Really quick, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tom, I just wanted to let you, this is Ryan Bledsoe again. I will be voting no on the approval of the additional funds, but I am going to reach out to you because we are doing some exciting things in the Southwest and connecting with high school students that I think that your program can leverage to expand and reach. And I think that would help bring your cost per student down. Maybe just sharing some of those best practices. But thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and call for a roll call vote on this grant request. So Jennifer, will you do a roll call vote? Obviously, what the motion is on the table, Mr. Wilson made a motion to approve the grant funding in full for $17,500. That was seconded by Mr. Cross. We had council discussion, and so you should have all the information you need. So Jennifer, will you please take a roll call vote?
Governor Mark Gordon or designee? No. Senator Dan Dockstader?
Aye.
Representative McKay Erickson? Chair Eric Trowbridge?
Aye.
Michael Kircher?
Aye.
Ryan Bledsoe?
Nay.
Tony Cross? Larry Fodor?
Nay.
Taylor Timmis? Bria Hammond? Katie Hogarty?
Aye.
Travis Lawrence?
Aye.
Deborah Zelnowski? Wendy Fiskett-John? Danny Bureau? Tom Van Fleet?
Nay.
Stacy
Vulcan.
Nay. Charles Wilson?
Aye.
Tina Conley?
Aye.
Nathan Williams? Philip Cornella?
Nay.
Brenda Morgan?
No.
Dan Meyer?
Nay.
Mayor Shay Lundahl?
Nay.
Commissioner Peter Nicolason?
Aye.
Director Elizabeth Gagan? Aye. Executive Director of the Wyoming Community College Commission or designee?
Aye.
Nikki Harper just texted me hers because she can't use audio and she was an aye.
I think Taylor was a nay on the passage right now.
Okay. Forgot to copy the count. Chairman. With 15 ayes, the motion passes.
Right, thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Tom, for all the work that you do. We look forward to getting more updates. Yeah, go to the kiddos next.
Thank you guys very much. Very much appreciate your support. And if anybody has any questions or would like to reach out and chat with me, I'd be happy.
All right, thank you, Tom. And thank you, council, for the discussion and consideration. All right. We're going to go ahead and move on to agenda item number 7. Agenda item number 7 is about a new funding request for the Forger Future Materials. So Jennifer, please present. This is an airplane, so you might want to wait just a little bit. Oh, not your fault. Let's take a mental break.
I just took that opportunity to move closer to the microphone. And maybe the camera will see me. So, because we have a few new council members, even though I'm talking during your break, I'm really excited about Forge Your Future, which is an initiative that started in our Next Gen Sector partnerships, specifically the Southwest Manufacturing Partnership. This is funded through ARPA dollars. It's an initiative that highlights the job opportunities in our state in the 4 key industries that are in a 7-footnote that allows me to spend this money. So the 4 industries are construction and trades, manufacturing, hospitality and tourism, and healthcare. Many of you in this room are featured in said videos. In fact, Larry has over 1,000 times that we've shared it everywhere. And Deborah Zelnowski, her videos will be soon to be uploaded, but we have Dan, and Danny's on there too. He shared it on Instagram, so he's got like 1,000. So does Chairman Trowbridge. But what we're really excited is half of these funds that we got for ARPA dollars are to create a video library of these careers. Oh, we have Mayor Lundvall too. We went over to SNS, but those videos aren't ready either, because that was the same trip with Debbie. But we have those videos and they're coming on. We're also really excited that we have over 100 videos now in our video library in those 4 industries. We've had a lot of excitement, a lot of movement, and so today I asked for more money. So in the 7-footnote, we got no funding for outreach materials. So the materials that we're putting in community colleges, that we're sending out this month to our school districts, every school counselor in the school district, and for our, did I say workforce centers? Because if I didn't, they're our big place where we're putting Forge Your Future materials. On your spots, I gave everyone a sticker and a wrap card. These have already been distributed. What we're asking for today is 5,000 magnets. We realize that magnets are something that can be stuck all over offices, cubicles, just another place, especially in our workforce centers, but also in the community colleges and high schools. It's not permanent. Our vinyl stickers are very good, so put it on stuff. They're very high quality. That you want to last. But the magnets give us some more versatility. And then I forgot to bring with me out here, we've created a brochure that outlines what to do next. So it's a tool for our workforce centers, those counselors, and people to self-serve on, I've watched these videos, I want to join this career, what do we do next? So it's a very large, bifold, this is just something we printed at work, but we would like to have these professionally printed and folded so that they look really great, and it's kind of that next step. So what do you do next? So our staff and other staff around the state really have this roadmap about what to do next. On our website, we link to apprenticeship opportunities. Brenda, Dan, we link to your websites as well to help with apprenticeship. So we're happy to add those resources to our website. But this is kind of an all-encompassing, and I invite everyone through the break to look at this brochure. We don't quite have the version ready yet to post in Onboard for people to print themselves, but we're really close to that as well. But we really would like to have 10,000 brochures professionally printed. So my request today, and I'll probably keep coming to requests as Forge Your Future keeps going, is for $3,050 to print these additional materials for our boots on the ground outreach opportunities for Forge Your Future.
Great, thank you, Jennifer. Any questions from council? Yes, Larry?
Mr. Chairman, is there any opportunity to get some smaller stickers made for those way overpriced water bottles all the kids are carrying around?
Absolutely. In fact, if you want to add another zero to make it $4,500 or $4,050, our marketing team would love to do that. We love making this anything for your future. So absolutely, we can make more business card size, and that'll be the same size as the magnets that we intend to buy as well. So if you want to make a motion for $4,050, I would appreciate it.
Yeah. And just also, real quick, based on Larry's question, as a point of order as well, as a council member, you do have that ability, right? So you can obviously make motions to not approve, to cut in half, to do what you want, but you can also go above. And then what we can do is we can always talk to our spending plan and expenditures, make sure it's within our budget. So that is your power as council.
As a point of order, any funding under $5,000 does not need to go through strategic performance and finance. And so you could make a motion up to $4,999, but we wouldn't have to spend it all. You could just tell us what you want. We're happy to make all sorts of stuff. These are the costs for 5,000 magnets and 10,000 brochures, but we just need more money to make smaller stickers too.
Well, other discussion?
Mr.
Yes.
Please.
Brochure.
Oh, yeah. Anyone can look at the brochure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jennifer, I just wanted to tell you, great job. The governor saw one of the videos, I don't remember where it was, but it was one of the quotes at the very end, and he's like, oh, that's good, we have to use that on stuff. So he was very pleased with the video, and everyone that I have watched has been excellent. People are loving them, so good job.
Thank you. One of our big taglines, which is why I kind of wish Tom was here, for Forge Your Future, it's about building our future here together. And so that's one of the big taglines for the campaign. And so that's to entice people to come back. And that's also to entice people to stay, because we really do have some phenomenal opportunities and occupations in our state. The other thing, just especially for those of you who are new, that these are occupations that employers are hiring for. The businesses that we work with are like, tell us what you're hiring for, and then many of them are doing, we have all these agreements with them, but they're doing their own recruitment campaigns with these videos as well, but we get the credit in our clicks and YouTube and all that stuff for that. But that's another thing that's in it for the businesses, is that they can go ahead and use these videos for their recruitment efforts as well.
Awesome, thank you. Anyone else? Or if you have all the information you need, I am happy to accept the motion from the council.
Mr. I'll make a motion to approve total request up to $4,000 for materials to include smaller stickers for overpriced water bottles.
All right, so the motion being presented by Lauren is to up to $4,000 to also include smaller size stickers to go on water.
Am I allowed to second?
What's that?
Am I allowed to second?
Yes, and Secretary John Snyder is second. Yeah, so motion by Lauren to up to $4,000 seconded by Senator Doxler. Any other further council discussion?
So this, that.
All right.
And then we put.
Are we ready to vote?
And so if you want us to have the yours, just send me those.
I'm just saying those.
All right, are we ready to vote?
I just had a quick, there's none of the union apprenticeship programs are in the brochure. I just was curious as to why or.
So there's many reasons why the actual union apprenticeships aren't on here. They're on our website because we can't give preference on print materials. So right now in the union or the apprenticeship section, it directs you to go to our apprenticeship site where we do have the links for the electrical apprenticeship and the plumbers and pipe fitters.
And I'm not sure anything about mine.
Right, and so that's the website allows us to be more flexible to add as people would like to join the campaign. But a brochure, especially when we print 10,000, doesn't allow us that flexibility. But we created that on the website, and that's what this brochure directs you to, is that website. So if you're interested in apprenticeships, it literally will have the gamut, and that includes the union apprenticeships as well.
Cool. All right, well, just a quick reminder, the motion on the table from Lauren, seconded by the senator, is up to $4,000 to approve funding request for additional outreach for your future materials. So all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any of
Aye.
the motion does pass for $4,000, so thank you very much. Great. Okay, and as you see on the agenda here, we are running just 15 minutes behind, not the end of the world thing, but just kind of keep that in mind as we get through the afternoon. I want to make sure we are on time for our tour, because Tony does have staff kind of ready for us at that time. So we will take a 10-minute break now. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick break from 2:41. We'll come back at 2:52. And our next up will be Mr. Welling to tell us about the Jackson Workforce Center story. So 10 minutes and go. the tables, please. All right, well, thank you for a 10-minute break and just, making sure no one switches seats, right? That's the cardinal rule of this council. So, I don't think that means we're gonna get any sense of it. I gave myself. Okay, Tony. Awesome. And it's not every day that we get to have a meeting. Thank you for opening the doors to that nice fresh air, beautiful view of the Teton Mountains. So, thank you. It was wonderful. So, as you all know, we have a few more agenda items before we actually move into our tour here. And again, just want to be respectful to make sure Jimmy's has budgeted his staff at certain times to make sure that we can get around the airport, so the operation is going to begin at 3:25. So we have two things between that, and I'm really happy to welcome Mr. Llewellyn. He is the Jackson Workforce Center manager. So welcome, and you're here to tell us a story.
Oh, yeah, maybe a couple.
Okay.
Chairman, appreciate the opportunity, council, appreciate the opportunity to come speak to you. My name is Dave Welling. I'm the Workforce Center manager for Jackson, but also Cameron and Evanston, Wyoming. I actually reside in Cameron, or in Evanston. And I travel up here to take care of the workforce staff I have up here. Currently I have 2 staff up here, wonderful. I inherited great staff when I became the Workforce Center manager back in February. Prior to that, I was the youth case manager in Evansville with Boost programs. Some of you probably know about Boost, the successful youth program we have down there. Prior to that, I retired from law enforcement after 29 years, and I was supervising the jail and about 20 officers. So, great work, great career, but this is even fun. Jackson's unique as it is beautiful. The unemployment rate was 1.4% in July. So when we talk to people up here, and you probably attest this, how they find jobs is either the newspaper or word of mouth. It just blew me away that was how people were finding jobs. And so, it kind of makes it unique for us in the Workforce Center to bring people in to help them with certain things. Just as the summer's ending and before the ski season, and when the ski season ends and when the summer starts, we see an uptick in people coming into our Workforce Center. Basically using WAG advisor services, getting registered with unemployment, and also with helping them with their resumes, helping them look for other jobs when they come in. Our Workforce Center is just off the historic town square. We're on Gill Street on the 2nd floor. We have, like I said, I have 2 employees there. We also have an outreach in Etna. So we're trying to cover northern Lincoln County and all of Teton County out of the Jackson Workforce Center. And sometimes that causes a problem with the scheduling, but we're trying to be down at the Etna Center at least twice a week. One of our success stories, we had a gentleman that lost his job. He's 33 years old, had been working different jobs his whole life, wanted to find a career. I came in and talked to one of our workforce managers, or workforce caseworker, and through different avenues, different interests, skill tests and interest tests we gave him, he decided he wanted to become a truck driver. So we enrolled him in WIOA, he qualified as a dislocated worker, and he was able to go to truck driving school. Of course, he was in Idaho Falls, which was the closest to Jackson. He successfully completed that. And since then, after he was done with that, our caseworker helped him with his resume. In 2 weeks, he was hired. He had a full-time job at $40 an hour, and is currently still working there and loving it. And he's also making all the overtime, so he has a job that's sustaining, so pretty much sustaining here in this area. And so that was one of our success stories. Another one, our other program we're doing up here, our youth case managers going into the Alternative School Summit, Innovations High School, 3 times a week, and they have a program called Job Club. And they're teaching them things such as all the employment skills, how to write a resume, how to do interviews, how to dress for interviews, and a lot of hands-on activities. They have people come in and talk to them and about real world jobs and things that are in the area for them. So, and she is trying to get it down with the Lincoln County School District too down in that area. One of our other successes, real quick, I'm going to have, but I go for it. Back in May, we collaborated with PBR, and we did what they call a jobs or a trades fair. And the trades fair was held at the Athens Civic Center, and we had 217 high school kids attend, and we had over 37 vendors. And the purpose of the job fair was a hiring fair. It was to show those high school kids of what jobs, what trades were available in these areas. Students were from Jackson High School, Swift Creek High School, Summit High School, and Star Valley High School. We had, like I said, we had 37 vendors. DVR had their headsets so kids could do the virtual reality jobs. There was a line pole climbing thing that scared the crap out of them. But there's a lot of different other occupations that VR has that exposes these kids to different trades. Then our part was we would teach classes on how to fill out applications, how to do resumes, how to interview, and so it was a great success. Some of these businesses brought in some fantastic prizes. One was a pizza oven, one was a big screen TV, and it was fun watching those kids try to be on the bus with the pizza. So some of the vendors we had there, we had Lower Valley Energy, Sunrise Engineering, National Guard, U.S. Army, Senator Cynthia Lewis' office was there. We had Wyoming Apprenticeship, Silver Star Communications, Simplot Mines, Exxon, Rocky Mountain Power, Western Wyoming Community College, and Southwest Manufacturing Partnerships, and Star Valley Health. So we had a lot of collaboration of different trades, different businesses, that these kids had a selection of all that you actually bought on, you get a good job. And that was the sole purpose of this, and it was one of the best events I've ever attended for youth. And I think, with the cost was very minimal. All those vendors donated their time and just getting everybody together on that day. And I think was very successful in doing that. Just a couple challenges we've had. When I became center manager back in February, it was like a dark cloud over because we had a bunch of businesses going out. We had Amadani up here, laid off 125 people. So we had to do a rapid response and come up and talk to them and show them all what resources there are for them to find new jobs and stuff like that. And then Mitsubishi, that was shut down, that was 40 people lost their jobs. Timber Coal Mines laid off 28. So the first 2 months of my career as center manager was doing rapid responses to helping people on jobs. Mitsubishi, we had a job there just for Mitsubishi. I had 20 active businesses there that were actually hiring, and we were able to place a lot of them there. So there's a lot of different things we do as centers, workforce centers, and one of the things we're finding that everybody thinks we're unemployment, because that's where they come to file unemployment, and we're not. And we're trying to get the word out that we're not unemployment. We're employment training. We've been going to the farmers markets, and people are like, what, we didn't know that was here. Well, we are. And we're trying to be better at marketing our workforce centers here in this area. So I know your time is short, and I'm gonna edit it down.
Thank you, Mr. Roy. And what's kind of stood out to me was, word of mouth, the newspapers, and getting the word out. Like, farmers, that's really cool. That is Wyoming through, right?
Sorry, Chairman. One of our workers, our case managers here in Jackson, does a radio show every Wednesday morning called Workforce Wednesday. And she talks about all the services we provide and where we're at and any job openings that we're, she'll go through them. And it's kind of a fun little program she does with the radio host. That's every Wednesday morning we're doing that.
That's very cool. This is really quick. How did that get started? Is that something you initiated?
She came from the radio industry, and she just thought it was a great idea, and let's go with it. So it doesn't cost anything, and we're getting our name out there to do that too. So there's a lot of, we're trying to be creative to use our dollars wisely and also serve people and help them when we can. So,
thank you, Mr. Juan. I think, as I said this anytime, probably every council meeting, it's one of my favorite parts of our council is hearing all the stuff that we're talking about. You and your staff, across the area, you're the ones doing it. You're the ones helping Wyoming, I said, find these programs and navigating them through all the things they have to do to get there. So, just first of all, I know I speak on behalf of everyone here. Thank you for all the work you do for Wyoming every single day. So, I would definitely open up any other council questions from Mr. Welling or comments.
Just a little more on the endowment. Is there any potential with that elsewhere? You mentioned an endowment program. What's the potential of expanding that? You mentioned an endowment program, didn't you?
I don't think I did.
I thought I heard you.
I'm sorry. We're trying to make something out.
Yeah, we'll take one.
I kind of we think of the story of the little girl walking on the beach and all the starfish washed up, and she was starting to throw them back in the ocean, and people were teasing her, "You're not making a difference." And she picked up one and threw it back, and made a difference in that one's lives. We may not get them all, but we're trying to make a difference in people's lives.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the most fulfilling parts of any job, that you actually feel like you're changing something, so thank you for that. Yes. Any other questions or comments? Yeah, is there anything that we can help you out with?
We appreciate all the support you give us all the time. And I think one of my frustrations when I was a youth based worker is we're in Southwest Wyoming, we're in Evanston, we're kind of the forgotten group. Evanston itself. And we always wanted kids to stay in our area, but for them to go get an education, they always have to leave Evanston. We have the Western Wyoming Outreach, and some of the programs that were approved on EPLS were not approved for Western Outreach in Evanston. And that's kind of frustrating. It's gotten a lot better. We have the nuclear operator program, we have cybersecurity, we have an instrumentation technician program. So we have a lot more opportunities for kids just to stay out of this. I guess.
Thank you, Mr. Willing. Really, really great stuff. I think one of the big reasons why I wanted to come to Jackson was it was like a nails in the chalkboard moment of, Jackson's not there. Because Jackson is incredibly unique and it has incredibly unique challenges, and I think that how Teton County is approaching them can be passed throughout the rest of the state. So you are very much part of it. Arguably one of the most beautiful places in the world. So we should be proud of it. Great. Thank you, Mr. And tell your staff, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, and moving on to agenda item number 10, we have our Department of Vocational Rehabilitation, and they're going to make us aware of National Disability Employment Awareness Month. Who is speaking on behalf of DVR?
Well, hello everyone. How are you doing? I know that your time is tight here and you have a really cool tour coming up, so I'm going to make this as fast as I possibly can. And I'm more than happy to share more information in the future for you, but I'm condensing just so we can get you guys out the door on time. So, like you said, I am with Vocational Rehabilitation, and my title here over at Voc Rehab is the Policy Training and Innovation Manager. And that is a mouthful, the title, right? Some of you are probably thinking, what does that mean? Well, what that means is that basically I get to cook up cool programs for folks with disabilities to make sure that they're successful long term. So, I'm going to share some information with you very briefly. I was going to share my entire slide deck that you're seeing right now, but again, I'm trying to be as cognizant as possible for your time, so we're going to call this really quick. So, I'm here to talk about, again, the National Disability Employment Awareness Month. It's in October, and it is kind of a big deal because we're celebrating that intersection of disability and employment. And I'm going to blow you guys' mind here in a minute with some statistics that are Wyoming specific, because we're doing a really good job with getting folks with disabilities in the workforce. But right now, just visiting about what NDEAM is. And you're going to hear me use a lot of acronyms. This industry is heavy on acronyms, so please interrupt me if I get going and start talking alphabet soup. I apologize in advance, and I'm going to try really hard not to mess this up. So, NDEAM, or the National Disability Employment Awareness Month, is in October. And what it is just a huge celebration and recognition for all those great employers and employees out there. It also focuses on awareness and education for employers, helps with advocacy and progress, moving that dial forward, as well as empowerment. So I'm going to jump to celebrating contributions. So when we think of celebrations, I think of like New Year's, birthday parties, quinceaneras, which are fantastic, by the way. If you ever have a chance to go, do it. October is no different. We're going to be spotlighting all the wonderful things that hiring people with disabilities brings to the workforce, including problem solving and increased innovation. Now, when you think of folks with disabilities, they may be facing additional barriers to their daily life. So they're very familiar with taking a look at a problem and finding good solutions to it. And when we bring that to the workforce, it's a win-win for everybody. Also, lowered turnover. So as I was preparing for this presentation, I pulled up some information through the Journal of Business and Psychology. Fascinating read. But what really impressed me was by hiring folks with disabilities, it lowers turnover by up to 50%. And if you guys remember that massive title I'm carrying, part of that is training. Now, if I could cut my training time for onboarding new staff in half, I'd be really happy. So there's significant benefit in hiring folks with disabilities due to that lowered turnover, 50%. Hiring folks with disabilities also boosts morale. And you guys have probably all had at one time or another in your life a job that just sucks the life out of you. One of those jobs where you may be crying in the parking lot before you go in, you know, just having that nasty morale. Well, when hiring folks with disabilities, you can actually boost morale. Again, referencing back to that Journal of Business and Psychology, statistics show that by hiring folks with disabilities, people use 75% less of their sick time. They want to be at work. And that's a direct comparison in this study to inclusivity and promoting this welcomeness across the board with all of their employees. 75% less sick days. I think that's pretty cool. When looking at the bottom line for businesses, hiring people with disabilities gets money flowing through their doors. Studies show that businesses see an average of 36% higher profitability just by fostering inclusion in the workplace. Now, these are nationwide statistics, but they're still really impressive, all by hiring someone with a disability. The talent pool grows as well. So on average, 1 in 5 folks disclose that they have a disability who are in the workforce. If we're only looking at mainstream hiring practices, we're missing 20% of the folks out there that could be doing a really good job in a business. The unicorn may be in that 20%. You guys know the unicorn. The person that requires minimal training, the person that is a team player, that brings positive vibes to the work. Those unicorns very well may be in that 20% population the businesses might be missing out on. And lastly, where do we find them? Where are we looking for our unicorns? Absolutely, businesses can reach out to Voc Rehab. And this is what we do for a living, is help make those connections between employers and employees. You can talk with Workforce Services. They've got their thumb on the pulse of all things employment. And also visiting with your local service providers, the people that help folks with disabilities to be more independent. If you can get your job postings out to those folks, then you're going to gather more applicants and again, find those qualified people. So I'm keeping a very close eye on the time right now. And one thing I did want to touch base on is with the NDEAM, or the National Disability Employment Awareness Month. It gets stuck when I'm trying to say it quickly, so sorry about that. But the promotion and the celebration of this goes beyond just, hey, employer, hire somebody with a disability. It also highlights the businesses out there and the good work they're doing. So buckle up. I've got some really cool statistics that are just going to make you so proud of Wyoming and truly understanding why we're called the equality state. Wyoming has about 40,000 people with disabilities in the workforce. Now that makes up about 45 to 51% of the working population in our state. So we're at 45 to 51% of getting people jobs and having them stay in their jobs. And compare that to the national average. The national average is only 37%. So we are doing the good work. Our businesses are rocking it when it comes to being inclusive and hiring folks. But taking that even further, I don't know if there's anyone in attendance from Gillette or Laramie, but holy cow, those communities have got it figured out. Again, Wyoming's at 45%, but those bigger towns like Gillette and Laramie, they are up to hiring 75%. 3/4 of the working population, or the job seekers with disabilities, have found employment in those two communities. And that's such a feather in the hat of Workforce Services and the businesses and everybody else in those particular communities. We need to clap really loud for them. Nationally, Wyoming is ranked 10th in the nation for disability employment. That's pretty darn good. Anytime you see good news about Wyoming when we're at the top of a positive pile, I'm happy. In years past, we've been as high as 2nd in the nation for employing our folks with disabilities. So we're doing it, but there's always room for growth too. And how can we grow this? How can we get the good word out about National Disability Employment Awareness Month? Is just practice what we preach. Hire those folks with disabilities, making our workforce, our work locations inclusive, and just celebrating these wins, because business leaders who do this are the leaders in their communities. And if they're doing it, other businesses will follow suit. So that is the best way to celebrate this upcoming event. And it's the whole month of October. And you'll see a lot of social media postings through Facebook. Some of our nonprofit partners, such as Centers for Independent Living. Fun fact, there's 2 in the state. Will on the eastern side, Wyoming Independent Living, and Whistle on the other side of the state, Wyoming Services for Independent Living, but they also are promoting this. So again, the best advice I have for business owners and how to promote this is just lead by example. and is promote, promote, promote all of the great things that hiring folks with disabilities can really do for our communities. But in the previous presentation, we heard a little bit about those headsets, and I do want to talk about them. Vocational rehabilitation took a good look at how to best reach students with disabilities and how to prepare them to launch into the workforce or education programs. And we're not just rural. We're sometimes frontier in these smaller communities where job opportunities aren't there, especially the jobs that these kids are interested in. But vocational rehabilitation grabbed headsets, partnered with a program that offers job exploration or like a day in the life of in these different industries where we can take the job to the student. These simulations are real world. They are written by industry experts, and students flock to us like bees to honey because we're coming in with the coolest technology ever, right? They want to play with these headsets, and we can put them on. 5 minutes later, these kids know what it's like to change oil on a combine or climb a telecom tower and repair a thing. They have a name, I don't know what it is. Repair something on the telecom tower, or even treat a dog for an ear infection. All of these jobs that we need these students to move into. They can do it on the headsets. So I'm going to extend the offer to everybody on this call. If you want to experience these headsets, and trust me, it's pretty cool, just reach out to your friendly Voc Rehab office. Everybody's got one, and we'd be more than happy to have you try out a simulation or two, just to see how we're exposing students to these jobs. And just to finish this up, I've got 2 minutes before I'm done talking, and I'm keeping a close eye on the clock to get you out the door. But in regards to training that businesses may want, may be interested in, reach out to us. A big portion of my job is just sitting down with employers and saying, how can I help? And that could be me getting some real windshield time in and driving across the state to do a training with staff on service animals, for example, or doing a training on disability etiquette. Any of those things, I'm more than happy to meet with business owners and really come up with something that is beneficial for their staff and increases inclusivity. That's what I have for you guys. It's a very condensed presentation. I would love to have more time with you to truly highlight all the amazing things we're doing in our state, and that we should just be screaming it from the rooftops, especially in October for the National Disability Employment Awareness Month. But that's all I have. Reach out if you're interested in learning more. I will throw my contact information in the chat here. And yeah, does anyone have any questions?
Questions or comments from council? And so we do have quite a bit of Gillette representation here, Cal, Mayor of Gillette, and 2 other folks, so well done, Gillette. Yeah, obviously very important that we make every workforce in Wyoming feel inclusive and supported, so thank you, Cal, for reminding us that October is a big month, celebration. All right, have a great rest of your day, Callie, thanks for joining us. All right, well, some housekeeping rules. We are right on time, so it's great. So we will be going to, for those of you online, we're going to be going ahead on our tour of the airport. Tony.
So, yeah, do you mind if I take it away for a second? So we are going to have a presentation first, and then at 4, we've got a couple of bands coming, and we're going to take you all over the place and see all the cool, dorky stuff that obviously you came to Jackson to see. But first, I want to introduce the airport's executive director, Jim Elwood. Jim is here to talk to you about the airport. You're going to have to listen to me prattle on a little bit at the end of that presentation. But Jim is the airport director here as of 1 week from tomorrow. It will be 11 years. And earlier in his career, he was the airport director of Cheyenne Airport. And then he went to a bunch of other places that weren't Wyoming and found his way back here 11 years ago. So with that, take it away.
Well, thank you, Tony.
great to have you all with us. You got the real experience sitting in a firehouse, right? And I hope it hasn't been too noisy or too uncomfortable for you. It's just great to have and be able to host you here. So thank you for being part of this. As Tony mentioned, my name is Jim Elwood. I have the honor of being the airport director here in Jackson. And since you talked about jobs and workplace, I'm the luckiest guy around. Just in simple words. I get to work with incredible people, a couple right behind me, and Jamie Miles, and Jamie was like, so right there. And a team of about 120 full-time employees as part of the airport board. There's another probably 600 or so that work for the airlines, their own cars, and other associated businesses across this airport. When I tell my colleagues what I get to do and people I get to work with, it's very simple. I work at the most amazing place with the most amazing people, so it's true to heart. The slideshow, You want to just call it next slide. next slide. Oh, way back there. I'm going to go through this because I'm sure you want to get out and see the airport and stretch your legs and do all those kind of things. By the way, before you get up, I had some treats in the back. Hello, Mr. Foxbetter. Good to see you. Twice today. I was lucky. I sat behind that guy at a meeting this morning.
We were just in a meeting again this morning.
I looked up and saw you. Good to see you. Up on the screen is our North Star. You know, I think the airport board, when they put this together, were really concise and focused on what they felt the values of this airport needed to be and how we went about doing our work. The pieces that really stand out to me, and you take all those pieces, they sit under this umbrella called people helping people. And that phrase came to me from a former mayor of the town of Jackson, Mark Barron. I just arrived here, we were talking about various things, and he gave me that people helping people phrase. And I thought, well, that's a good way to come in as an in-person 11 years ago, right? I would bring in this kind of mindset that we're here to help each other, to help others. We're an external focused organization. We welcome about 1 million, almost 1.1 million visitors through our facility. And so it called out to me about a cool way to kind of view how we go about our work. The other words there, safety, guest experience, all those kind of things. But in the end, if we don't have a snowplow driver that plows the snow and makes the runway clear, then the airplanes can't come, and the rental cars can't do their, you know, it's all wrapped in the same moment. So I just wanted to pause there for a moment. Next slide, please. The 30-second, minute and a half explanation. We are a joint powers board. We have 5 volunteers who serve on the airport board. They serve 5-year terms. Some might consider that sentences, but they're 5-year terms, and they, there's not an official issue there, but they generally will serve 2 5-year terms. Just because the airport business is fairly complex, it gives them a chance to kind of better understand how airports function. What makes this airport incredibly unique, it is the only commercial service airport fully within a national park anywhere in the United States. So our landlord is the Department of Interior. So we've got all the regulatory agencies, the FAA, the TSA, you know, the EPA, you can kind of list them all off. But we've also tried to match the values of the Department of Interior and the Park Service as well. Within our employee staff, we really have several branches. The administration, those of us who push paper and don't have as many calluses on our hands. The operations and R folks. The R stands for Aircraft Rescue and Firefighting. That's one of our trucks right behind you. And then we've got our security team, and we've also got Jackson Hole Flight Services, which provide fueling and other support services to both commercial airlines and to general aviation. Next slide. Just another mention about the Jackson Hole Airport. On the left, you can see the summer of 2025. Pretty good route map. We have 4 airlines that serve our market: United, Delta, American, and Alaska.
The map on the right-hand side shows this coming winter. We'll add Washington DC to the map this winter, so we're excited about that. Next slide. State Aeronautics did an economic impact study of airports across the state. This is the snapshot of the Jackson Hole Airport against all those other economic impact contributors. Basically, there's 38 general aviation airports and 9 commercial service airports in the state. I really wanted to focus, and I'll come back to in a moment, that 21,000 jobs, because that's what you all are about. Next slide. I did want to give you just a continuing kind of information about the airport. We've completed about $190 million with capital improvements at this airport in the last 6 years. I'm incredibly proud to be able to report our team's done so on time and under budget. So we work together. That's a smattering of the various projects across the airport. I'm not going to kind of dig very deep into that space. Happy to have Tony answer any questions you got in that space. Next slide. The current capital project, when you're on the tour in a few minutes, I think you're likely to be out on the airfield. We're doing a project that's basically that direction to the north and east corner of the airport. It's outlined in color there. We've had a real backlog of how to get airplanes out of here, especially in the wintertime with de-icing operations. And when an airplane's delayed here, not only does it irritate the customer immensely, and I get more text on this subject than most anything else I do, is why am I still on the de-icing pad? I'm gonna miss my flight, do something. Well, the airlines actually physically spray the material onto the airplanes, and of course, then they have to fly to whatever destination they need to be. But we have a backlog here. We have 3 parking positions that are designed to have de-icing operations take place on, collects the material, we recycle it properly, all those good things. But we wanted to help the national airspace system by avoiding those delays and to minimize the number of angry texts that I got. So we're going to be moving toward 5 positions in total. So from 3 out to 5. We're also doing a number of other things down there to improve the efficiency. We built the bypass taxiway to improve the flow. Because otherwise, just think about it, the airplane's sitting at the gate, needs to be de-iced. There's already 3 airplanes on the de-icing pad. If it pushes back and goes up there, all it's done is sit and wait in a different spot and potentially blocking the taxiway for airplanes that didn't need to de-ice, might have done so earlier in the day or whatever the case was. So this is going to be a huge improvement. We believe it'll have a dramatic improvement to the national airspace system in total. That project's about $70 million. Everything we touch in the airport business tends to be really, really expensive. Next slide. When you look at all the things that happen across this airport, in the end, it's about safety. That is an airplane that had a wheel fire on taxi out. The air traffic control tower noticed that there was smoke coming from that aircraft's wheel well. They told the airplane to pull off on this newly constructed bypass taxiway. It supports the de-icing pad. They rang the bell. Our trucks dispatched. We were, if not the first, one of the first in the nation to move away from a PFAS-based product for firefighting. It's been used by airports for a very long time, military and others. We dispatched our new trucks without that fluorine product in it, put the fire out, and if that had gone any longer, it probably would have burned through the fuselage, and then it would have been a very, very bad circumstance. As it turns out, everything but the airplane was okay. So the airplane ultimately was repaired here on airport and flew away in due course. Next slide. We spent a lot of time being in the national park. I'm not going to read all of these to you, as you can read them, but yourself. But we feel very strongly here that we have to be really respectful and sensitive to the location that we exist. National Park Service is our landlord. Their mission is conservation, so that becomes our mission.
Next slide. Dark skies. We were at a meeting with the park superintendent, Chip Jenkins, Grand Teton National Park Superintendent, Chip Jenkins, and he suggested that we should consider being a dark skies location. Well, when we started to understand what that meant, is there has not been an airport approved as a dark skies place anywhere in the world before this airport did that earlier this year. There were thousands of hours of detail that go into it, but we're incredibly proud to be the first dark sky certified place that happens to be an airport. Now, we couldn't do much for the lighting that's typical for aircraft safety, runway and taxiway lights, those kind of things, but all the stuff in buildings and beyond and out that way. Now have central computerized lighting systems that are only up as much as needed to be safe. We've spent a ton of time. We have actually a lighting management plan that we follow. And we replaced over 300 light fixtures with proper designated dark skies fixtures. I'm going to turn it over to Tony in just a second, but here are the jobs that are at airports that kind of sometimes surprise people. We have finance, we have human resources, we've got environmental specialists, we've got airport operations folks who do the work on the airfield to change light bulbs on runway lights, to do the functional things that makes this airport work. I talked about snowplow operators. We have a security team. We're required by federal law to do a certain amount of security screening, not the security that you're used to traveling on a commercial airport by going through security and having your bag searched. But we actually have a team that focuses on screening the employees as they go from one place across the airport into a more sensitive spot across the airport. And we have emergency responders. So we have EMTs on staff. We have a broad spectrum. We have firefighters, all the things that you would expect almost a small city to have, this airport has as well. Plus, we host a lot of people, like I said, over 1 million folks a year. And then we've got these outside vendors, whether they're airlines or rental cars or concessionaires or whatever. We take that responsibility for their safety and well-being on airport very seriously. And we spend a lot of focus on trying to make sure this place operates in a manner that protects their health and well-being as well. Back in an earlier slide, there's over 20,000 jobs that come from this airport across the state. How that multiplies out is we not only have this 800 or 900 people that work here directly at the airport, but they end up hiring contractors to work on their house. They end up buying meals in restaurants. They end up taking those revenue dollars that are spent in salaries and benefits here, and they go out into the state and share that wealth, and it turns over all of the time. So we're really proud of the fact that we have a positive influence on opportunities for people to work in this state. We're really excited about a brand new program. We haven't even released this publicly yet, but that we're doing a collaborative effort with the local high school to not only do internships at the airport for interested young people, and that could be in finance, could be in some not necessarily specific to aviation role. Could be aircraft mechanic, could be something else, but that kind of collaboration, we're really excited about where it's going. They're also taking aviation and putting it into a STEM-based engineering program in the high school to help give context to young people about how engineering and mathematics and other things can actually come to life. Because aviation, whether it's pilot or something else, you got to be able to do math, you got to be able to solve problems, right? So that piece is really great. We envision that can also be related to getting a pilot's license, or at least being more exposed to aviation and the jobs that are included, because they are well-paying jobs. There's a lot of them to be had, and we want Wyoming students to be able to stay in Wyoming have really great careers. And if they turn out to be pilots, they turn out to be aircraft mechanics, all the better. But if they've been to the airport and they've gone through and spent time with our finance department or some of our trades, we've got electricians, electricians, plumbers, framers, all those kinds of folks are on our team already, so they have a chance to see that in real life. And what did I miss, Tony? Great. All right.
I want to ask you, because I know Jim is on a tight schedule of Q1 questions. Jim is far better equipped to answer more broad airport questions than I am. So fire away before he asks.
I know I drew a really late afternoon stall there.
Aviation mechanics, have you considered working with Central Wyoming College or Western Wyoming College on maybe 2-year certificate degrees, or is that enough to be an aviation mechanic?
You know, the FAA issues a certification, as you know, to be an aircraft mechanic. We would love that liaison and to work with them. We've not done that outreach yet, but we have 5 aircraft mechanics on staff. They normally spend time making sure that the commercial airliners get dispatched, helping airplanes that have arrived here and have some kind of issue that needs to be resolved. But I think, Sarah, that would be fantastic. We look forward to that opportunity, and we see a really an opportunity for a really great business model that helps young people and helps make sure that other airports in our region, like Pinedale and DuBois and others, if we have the capacity to get out there and help them with airplanes that they need support to get where they need to be, that would be terrific.
Jim, we're putting together a program at Casper College right now. Yeah. To start Part 147, it's called Part 147 School. And it's an FAA licensed school. You can do a 2-year program, get an associate's degree. At the same time, he's getting his A&P ticket. And we're in the early stages talking to Casper College's president. They're very enthusiastic about getting this set up. Tremendous opportunity.
Well, on your tour today, you're going to see, we built a brand new maintenance bay for aircraft repair, and it opened a year ago, less than a year ago. So if you want to keep that thread going and talk to Casper College, CRC, and bring folks in who want some practical on-site work, we're here to be part of that team.
Who is the joint powers that governs an airport between?
Just think Marvel characters, superheroes. There are 5 people, they are jointly interviewed and named by the town and county local governments to serve on the airport board. So that's how that works, if I got your question.
Yeah, combination of the county and the city?
Well, there are 5 members of each of the town council and the county commissioners, so they jointly get together. One of the really great things about it is the airport board owns title to all of the infrastructure, obviously not the dirt, because that's Park Service, but the capital improvements, terminal building, that fire truck, all that stuff is owned by and in title of the Jacksonville Airport Board. They only do a couple of kind of key components. They name our folks to serve on the airport board, and they've given us great people. Because they've done it jointly, they haven't been in that case, well, that's a town appointee, and, you know, they're gonna look after our interests, and that's a county employee, appointee, so they're gonna kind of think about the county. Because they've had to do it jointly, they have to have a kind of a similar vision about what that person, and they can't single them out politically. But I think they've given us really smart people without an agenda. I mean, the folks we have serving on our board, sometimes they'll get 16 applicants for an open airport board position. They're generally former CEOs, they've got MBAs, finance, we've got a current airport board member that's been CEO of multiple companies, has an MBA from Stanford, civil engineering degree so there's just these great people, and they've not come with access to grind, so they've tried to do what's best for the community and its total. So we've been really, really lucky in that space.
Where do a lot of your employees live? They live in Jackson?
You know, Tony can do the actual math. Last time I heard, it's approaching 40% local. And the rest live as far away as Rock Springs and Idaho Falls and Blackwood. We are lucky. When I came to work here and I was interviewing for the product, for the job, the board said we want to be the employer of choice. I'm going to say that again. We want to be the employer of choice. The fact that we'll get someone who wants and is willing to drive from Rock Springs to come to work at the Jackson Hole Airport, I take that dear, right? That's a real commitment in time and car. And so the other portion locally, we try to build benefits around, benefit package we offer has been built around trying to match what we understand and survey our employees routinely. Tony does that, and understand what they need to make this work. You know, we're 21, 22 hour a day operation, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So, you know, you have to have people who feel vested. And the decisions that they make can have material impacts on the traveling public and their safety.
Super expensive to live in Jackson, that's right.
Super expensive is maybe an understatement. Yeah. That's it. Come on.
I have a quick question. So when you think about like attrition of employees, I don't know, what's kind of the median age of your current employee set? And are you planning for, there's a cost of living here, right? So does that number shrink over time, or how are you looking to either maintain that 45% or grow that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we would love to have a higher percentage live local because that's just less stress on people. Is it realistic? No. In our survey data that we get back, folks want to have horses. So they've got a family and they need a yard and some space, multiple kids, and they need a 3 or 4 bedroom house. That's a really difficult lift in Jackson. So what we've learned from folks is that they've kind of tried to pick the lifestyle that works on their personal side, and then we try to find a way to match up to that as best we're able. We offer a $1,500 a month housing and transportation stipend. And it was targeted directly to those that are local. They need it for extra rent or house payments or whatever that cost is extra to be in Jackson. If you're buying tires and gasoline and driving a long distance, you want it to be available for that purpose. So we tried to target that incentive to give the employee the choice about how they think works best for them. Tony can give you more granular material in that space.
And as a preview, we have a whole campus discussion about workforce housing tomorrow.
Oh, hallelujah. I'm waiting for white smoke.
Before you leave, a little more on the nonstop service around the nation. All the major cities, as I understand it, and this morning that meeting at Town Hall was announced DC nonstop. I texted Barrasso and Columbus's staff and said, hey, come to the west side of the state, now there's nonstop into Jackson. Do you foresee even more major city connections for Jackson and Wyoming and the rest of the nation?
Yes, but I think it'll be somewhat measured. I mean, I think we will hopefully see that Dulles Saturday service grow into more frequency during the week as well. When you look at the top list of destinations that our customers use, Boston is near the top, so Boston will be a a potential. This airport, though, being in the national park, would have an extraordinarily short runway. And so aircraft performance becomes a very strong limiting factor about what this airport can be. And those longer leg distances to the East Coast, there's only a relatively few airplanes that can make that leg, and the airlines don't own a lot of that type of airplane. So Boston's been a tough nut to crack. We've been working that one for about 5 years. But I think we'll see a smattering of a couple extra destinations maybe over time, but I don't see a lot changing in a big way.
I think we have one final question. Mr. Chairman, thanks. Jim, thanks for hosting us. She loved all Mayor Gillette. And so I think the senator has kind of touched on what I was going to ask, but given that in the state of Wyoming, each airport has its own unique sets of challenges and potential closings and things of that nature, what is your opinion on where the industry is going in the state of Wyoming, more so locally, and what does that look like in your mind? What are the challenges going forward?
You know, as Tony mentioned, I was in the state back in the late 80s and early 90s as well, and the issues are almost identical, right? It's a rural state, not a great population base. Trying to get air service to work in this state is hard. If anything, some of the variables have become even more difficult. You know, the top 4 major airlines control 78% of all air travel, right? And so, and if we don't have commercial air service at the airports in this state, it's going to hurt everybody's economic position. There's just no way around it. The legislature's going to be considering a capacity service agreement extension that's provided guaranteed service to Sheridan, Rock Springs, Cheyenne will be in that group, and a couple other airports to ensure that we stay on the route now. If we don't, then economic development hurts, the jobs are going to be hurt. It's a trickle-down effect. I could go through a laundry list of why some of those things make just good common sense decision making, but if the senator's grace, I won't worry about that. But the bottom line is, the challenge is to hold on to air service, given that over 70 airports, 70 communities have lost commercial air service since the pandemic. Have zero. They'd give anything to have a flight of any sort. And the fact that we've not lost a single commercial service airport destination in this state since the pandemic means that capacity service agreement has done exactly what it was supposed to do. And one airport, yours, is about to graduate out of that program because it got some head start, right? And somebody helped give it some legs, and it's now on its own.
Yeah, and I think for the sake of our conversation as workforce development, you touched on it, in my opinion, having an airport is a tremendous asset and is an economic driver. If you don't have one, it is very hard to bring people in and out and just have that. It's critical that we have airport service in the state of Wyoming.
You know, I couldn't agree more with your comment. I'll add a little context from my side, which is we need young people to stay in Wyoming. And if they feel isolated, that's not going to be as easy. And here's the cool part about the air service piece. And Senator, I think, was in the room this morning, an outside consultant came in and offered some thoughts. It's betting on Wyoming, right? We're betting on ourselves right here in Wyoming.
Grace, any final questions, Councilor?
I do have a question.
Yes, Dave.
Getting a last question a lot.
Oh, I know.
Jim, I'm Katie O'Grady, the CEO of Wyoming, and I can just, I feel the commitment that you're making to your workforce here. And I'm curious what your strategy is around childcare, thinking about shift work and just making this such a great place to work. How are you approach that?
It's very far from my mind. Thank you for that question. Our holiday party last year, we had 42 young kids in our group. So there's good purpose in thinking about it. The FAA does not let us have a child care center on an airport for reasons that make pretty good sense. How we get into that and actually help our folks have families and make it all come together. We've done a lot. We have kids who come to work. We have a very flexible work time ability, so that if they need to take care of their kids, if something happens and they need to be with their kids, we have a family first mindset, which I'm really proud of. You know, the work is the work, and we've got to get it done, we've got to figure it out. But the team mentality here has been, you know what, if you need to be on to take care of your kid, we're going to figure out a way to cover what you would have been doing in that moment, so you can do that. And I hope we can find better daycare in town and we can be a partner in that space. At the moment, those things haven't all aligned the way we would have liked.
Maybe it's not childcare, but we did 8 years ago, we did a week program for new parents and the overall case of the another small measure, but I think we were one of the first to validate it, so that's great.
And I'd like to see that expanded further. My daughter works for McKinsey Consulting, which is a worldwide consulting company, and I continue to take really cool ideas from her experience in that place to our place. And parental leave is a spot that I see us having an opportunity to do that.
To be good for excitement, child person. Yeah, I know a lot of people are doing that too.
You know, all ideas are on the table. And before I turn the floor to Tony, I'm going to do, you already know Tony and understand what kind of person he is. But I'll just introduce him by saying, he and I started at a pretty similar time. One of the best hires that I can think of in my career. But that people helping people would not have come to life without this person in particular. Lots of people have their hands in that process, but he is compassionate, listens really well, and our team trusts him. So incredibly important stuff, so thank you.
Thanks for saying all that. He has to say that. Technically fired. Yeah, I'm going to share like a brief case study with you, but but I think we're pretty close on 4 o'clock, and I can save this information for. I think your time is better spent with Jim, and I think it'd be good for everyone to have a couple minutes before we get in the vans and cart you around. I was going to share with you a little bit more history. I think a lot of it was covered in the discussion that happened as far as how this airport has responded to cost of living pressures and tried to support our workforce. Jim touched on a number of those things. And I think because we have the panel tomorrow, Jennifer, if it's okay, I'll save some of that information. I am going to ask you to go 2 slides forward. This is sort of our big highlight. And I don't think we'll get this granular tomorrow. In 2015, the airport's turnover was 33%. And when I did exit interviews, everyone was leaving because it was too expensive to live here, or they lost their housing, or some combination of factors in that area. As you know, turnover costs companies money. And there's a lot of different ways to calculate that. We applied a really, I would say, extremely conservative metric and estimated that our cost of turnover at that time, 10 years ago, was at least $500,000 a year. So that became very motivating for us when considering benefits like our stipend and other things, parental leave, professional development incentives and others, that cost money. And as we implemented those over time, as you can see, the 2023 was our banner year for turnover. I always caution our board, don't get used to this. And there are only 120 people, so you know, a few people here and there, and it can bounce around. But we consider our turnover levels in the last several years to be something that we're really proud of, and as sort of this to us is the proof that what we've done to help support our workforce across not just Jackson, but this whole region, as Jim said. We have people who live in Rock Springs, Rexburg, Idaho Falls, Du Bois, and beyond, and that's why we look at economic data from all of our surrounding counties, not just Teton County. We look at economic data in Idaho, and we sort of try to analyze what we need to respond to. So anyway, I wanted to mention that really quickly, and then I'm gonna say, give us a couple minutes here. I'm gonna introduce Dustin Hopple. He is our Chief Operations Officer. He oversees all of the airport operations, maintenance, IT, custodial, that's it. And for those of you who draw the short straw or the good straw, whichever one is the good one, you'll be in the van with him. Are you doing that? Okay, there's no good straws. They're all good straws. There's no bad straws. Cody Jepson, who's worked here forever in numerous capacities on our operations team, and is one of the people who drives that truck, is going to be in the other van. And so both of these guys have enormous experience here and are going to kind of guide you around. I'm going to come along and probably learn some things too. But with that, I think we're ready to get on to the fun part of the day. If you want to take a couple of minutes, we'll go
Really quick, have you considered like Lower Valley Energy? We've been kicking around employee housing for our key employees. Have you tried that at the airport?
Sorry, the question was, have we tried employee housing?
Yeah.
So we have looked at that. So back in 2015, 2016, when we were trying to decide what to do, we penciled out probably, a dozen scenarios, which included creating employee housing. The cost of that, given the need to purchase land in this county where only 4% of the land is not public land, and other factors, was way higher than what we ended up doing. So we decided to reallocate our funds more specifically. But some of the other things we do, we provide assistance with, we have what's called a move-in loan assistance program, where we help people with loans for if they have a rental deposit or a mortgage that they need to make. And we also have a bunch of properties around the valley that we rent. So we get what we call a master lease with a landlord, and we're able to offer those for people who experience housing instability. So someone loses their housing, or a new hire who's moving to this area and can't find something, we have some resources that they can use temporarily. But we have elected not to go down the route of buying land and building big buildings, because that money, I mean, I think 10 years ago, we looked at very modest things like that, at least, what, $10, $15 million, and that was 10 years ago. So, is that a good point?
Yes, thank you.
What we did do is we went and got master leases. Because when we looked at our turnover ratio, if we had somebody come on board and stay 3 years, we generally had them for the long term. But entering this market and getting your feet on the ground, really tough. So we went out and acquired several master leases. So when people come to town or they need interim housing to kind of make things work or get their feet on the ground, we've got an option.
Well, just quick three things. First of all, Jim, very, very impressive. Like, all that study, it blows my mind how well run this airport is, all the initiatives that you've done. The turnover data, knowing turnover, how expensive that is, to get 2/3 reduction, that is a significant amount of effort on the HR side, culture-wise, to get a company to be able to do that. So hands off to you for that. That's really, really impressive. And then third, thank you, Tony, again. You've been a wonderful contributing member of the council. We're very lucky to have you and be our chair of one of our subcommittees. So just thanks again for hosting us. We're very excited to kind of see the behind the scenes tour and anything we can do to help you. Let's know that we're here for you.
Thanks, everybody.
Wonderful to have you all. Have a great time. I'm sorry I've got to jump off to another place. But take care. Enjoy the backside tour. It's not often you kind of see how some of the sausage is made.
And you can leave all your stuff in here if you want to.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I'm going to be called meeting. We will re-adjourn tomorrow at 8:30. Thank you all.